If you stopped working today, how long could you survive? 1 week? 1 month? I used to be exactly there. Not because I hated my job, not because I was bad with money, but because my entire life depended on a single paycheck. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I broke the salary trap without quitting my job by changing the structure behind my money. If you feel stuck even with a good salary, this is for you. For years, I thought there were only two ways out. Either you quit your job and take a massive risk, or you stay forever and accept that this is just how life works. I believed that for a long time. Kept telling myself one day, when I have enough saved, I'll quit. But that day never came. Because every month, the same thing happened. Bills went out, debt got paid, life kept moving. And the job that was supposed to be temporary became permanent. Not because I loved it, but because I couldn't afford not to. I wasn't stuck because I was lazy. I was stuck because my financial structure made quitting impossible. That's when I realized something most people never do. The real trap isn't your job. It's the way your life is built around your job. And once I saw that, I discovered how to break the salary trap without quitting. Let me tell you what changed everything. I was talking with a coworker I respected. We were both high performers, same department, same pay range, but our lives were completely different. He said, if I got laid off tomorrow, I'd be annoyed, but I'd be fine. I laughed and said I'd be terrified. That night, I asked myself the question that started my exit. Why can two people with similar incomes live in completely different realities? The answer wasn't effort. It wasn't intelligence. It was structure. My life was built to require my paycheck. His life was built to survive without it. That was the moment I stopped planning my escape as a future event and started breaking the salary trap while still employed. Here's the truth most advice won't tell you. Quitting your job is not freedom. Freedom is when you don't need to quit, because when your job is optional, power shifts. You stop negotiating from fear. You stop tolerating what you hate. You stop designing your life around someone else's calendar. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how I broke the salary trap. Without quitting, not overnight, not with hype, but with a system you can build quietly in the background. And that system has 4 parts: stabilize, decouple, build, optionalize. I'll walk you through each one. But first, you need to understand the real problem. The salary trap is not that you work for money. It's that your entire life depends on one source. One paycheck. It's one employer. One decision you don't control. That's not stability. It's concentration risk. In investing, putting everything into one asset is reckless. But in life, we're told to do exactly that. All your income from one place. All your security from one job. So the moment that income stops, everything stops. That means the goal is not to quit. The goal is to de-risk your life, to reduce how much power your job has over your survival. Once I understood that, the path forward became clear. Step 1, stabilize. Before you can break the trap, you have to stop the bleeding. Most people try to build their way out, while their expenses quietly pull them back in. I didn't start by chasing side income. I started by stabilizing my financial floor. I looked at one number: my burn rate. How much money did my life require every month just to function? Not for luxury. For survival, rent, debt, insurance, transportation, food. That number told me exactly how much power my job had over me, so I lowered it, not by living like a monk, but by removing anything that permanently locked me into dependency. I stopped upgrading just because I got a raise. I questioned every recurring expense. I chose flexibility over image, because every fixed bill is a silent boss. And the lower my burn rate became, the less terrifying it felt to imagine life without my job. This didn't make me rich, but it made me harder to control. And what I did next is what actually broke my dependence. Step 2, decouple your identity from your job. This part is invisible, but it's critical. For years, when people asked me, "What do you do?" my answer was my job title. My identity was welded to my employer, and that's dangerous, because when your identity is tied to your job, you protect the job at all costs. You tolerate stress. You avoid risk. You postpone change. So I started asking a different question. What do I produce, independent of my employer? Skills, networks, knowledge, relationships, things I could take with me anywhere. I stopped thinking of myself as an employee and started thinking like a system builder who happened to have a job. That shift alone changed how I made decisions, and it prepared me for the step where most people fail. Step 3. Build income that doesn't require your presence. This is where people get it wrong. They look for side hustles that still trade time for money. Another job after their job. That doesn't break the salary trap. It just makes you tired inside it. What you need is income that is structurally different from salary. Not perfect, not passive overnight, but not directly tied to your hours. For me, that started small. A project that paid even when I wasn't actively working. A system that could grow without my constant attention. An asset that produced on its own. At first, it was insignificant. It didn't replace my income. But it did something far more important. It proved that money could come from somewhere other than my employer. Once that happened, my job stopped feeling like the only door in the room. And that's when the power dynamic started to change. Step 4. Optionalize. This is the moment where everything flips. As your independent income grows and your expenses stay controlled, there comes a point where your salary is no longer essential for survival, not because you quit, but because you don't need it. That's when something changes inside you. You speak differently in meetings. You make decisions based on alignment, not fear. You stop tolerating what you once accepted as normal. Your job doesn't own you anymore. It's just one option among many. That is how you break the salary trap without quitting. Here's what it actually felt like. It wasn't dramatic. There was no day where I woke up and said I'm free. Instead, one month I noticed I wasn't stressed about my paycheck. A few months later, I realized I could walk away and be okay. Not rich, but safe. Safety without dependence is a form of freedom most people never experience. If you're watching this thinking, that sounds great, but I can't do that from where I am, let me tell you something important. I didn't start with extra time. I didn't start with extra money. I started while I was still exhausted from work. The only thing I changed is where my effort went. Instead of putting 100% of my energy into my employer, I redirected a small percentage into my own system. Not reckless, strategic, quiet, relentless. Here's how you start without quitting. First, make your job a funding source, not your identity. Your paycheck is not your future. It's the capital that builds it. Second, lower your dependency before you chase more income. If your lifestyle requires your job owns you. Third, build one income stream that does not require your constant presence, not a second job, a system. Fourth, track freedom, not just money. Ask yourself every month, am I more dependent or more free? Most people think escape means walking away, but real escape is when walking away becomes possible. When you no longer need permission to live the life you want. You don't break the salary trap by quitting in anger, you break it by building quietly, until the trap no longer works. Let me be clear about something. This is not about hating your job. I don't hate work. I hate dependence. I hate a system where your entire life can be controlled by a single paycheck. Breaking the salary trap doesn't mean you never work again. It means you never work from fear again. I spent years thinking freedom was something you reached one day. Now I know it's something you design. One decision at a time. One system at a time. 1 month at a time. You don't need to quit. You need to restructure. Because the real question is not, how do I leave my job? It's this. How do I make my job optional? That's how you break the salary trap, without quitting. And in the next video, I'll show you the exact shift that made this possible for me. How I stopped using debt to survive and started using it as leverage. Because escaping the salary trap isn't about working harder. It's about learning to use the system before it uses you. If this helped you see the structure more clearly, subscribe. This channel isn't about shortcuts. It's about building a life where your income no longer controls your choices. You don't need another raise. You need independence from the system that owns you. And you can start right where you are.